Okay, Roger from Mud Fossil University. I just want to show you this before I get blocked from this group. This is Fraudulent Archaeology Wall of Shame, and they go against people that come up with fraudulent archaeology. Now, they allowed me to come in here, and I have to admit, I was very surprised that I was allowed to get in here, first of all. And I did post, and here I am as a new member, and I posted about the cyborg human examination, and I showed it's quite serious, and it's quite involved. And here's what you get. I don't think a psychiatrist would even know what to say or prescribe as a treatment. Here's a duck saying no, so I hit him with this, look into the vagina, giant human fossils, and of course that was a laugh. And then I put into, isn't there any adults in this room afraid of giants, kitties? And then they came on about the Jolly Green Giant and toenail clippers that could ever clip those toenails and so forth. And you could call that a giant, that's a giant, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Just silly, absolutely moronic things. This stuff is a great distraction, ridiculous claims, comedy network. And so I put down, yeah, it is. You guys are clowns. Then it goes on and on. This is he's just crazy and so forth. You may want to consider another group. Of course, by now they come in with the other group. I'm surprised they haven't blocked me, and I do appreciate it. And you know, this guy was nice. J.A. Sterling, I don't really know him, and I have no clue about him, but he did respond to me saying that, you know, that everything I did was wrong, so I should go somewhere else. But at least he did respond, and he didn't block me. So this is the kind of thing I run into. There's not one single relevant comment to what I am going to show you right now as evidence. Alright, this is the video, and it goes on about, and it shows quite clearly a new species having new features in the foot, and you know, all of this different stuff. I mean, this is not something silly. This is quite serious and quite obviously, and there is nothing that anybody can say that this is not true. Now, this is in the bottom of the foot. It has 2 bars of steel or metal of some sort in there. And this is the heel bone, and it's totally eroded. Yes, true. And here's what's inside the feet. These are springs. And I showed this torsion assembly, and you see how it bends? And there's the bumper right there. That is the spot that engages right into that. And then it picks up the next one and engages. And that's the heel, and that's the strap of the heel that comes across. Totally obvious that it is a part of a creature. And we have found them here, like in this nature. This is a fellow found this in England, in a mud flat, and it, a couple days later, dried out to this. And some of our stuff is beginning to dry out. All right, and these are things that we cannot. These are feet from giant creatures, and because it's so over the top of what these people can get into their mind, they are so limited in their abilities, first of all, that they can only see one thing, and their minds are so limited that all they can do is turn into infants when it comes into assessing true, credible data. And I'm going to show you why it's true and credible. All right, these are 3 DNA tests done a couple years back by Helix Paleo Labs, and it was ancient bacterial DNA. They did the whole thing. They went deep into this. It's the protocols that have to be done. It took months to do this, and there's all kinds of different procedures they use. I don't really know that much about the depth of it, but it took a long time, and it was not cheap, and it was 100% positive. It was done here, and then it was checked at Eaton Biolabs in New Jersey, and it came out 100%. Here it is, Homo sapien mitochondrial cytochrome B gene, Homo sapien mitochondrial D loop region, and they all came out the same. And this is certified by a certified lab. So, and then I'm told this is no good, this has no validity. All right, so that's DNA, and my DNA is not valid, but everybody else's is. All right, these are the guys that did my CAT scans. I had 7 CAT scans done by Jesse Garant and Associates, probably one of the best scanning places in the world. They scan industrial equipment for the depth and porosity and the different materials that are in there, and the tolerances and the sizes and the everything, and it's all in 3D, and it's color, and it's all kinds of things. So to tell me that those scans are no good is another ridiculous thing. And the scans were analyzed by Gil Hedley, who owns an autopsy school. And he verified them 100%. So this is crazy to not accept the stuff that I've come up with on my own. You know, Mud Fossil University's done all this work. And it's just totally rejected. Okay, this is where the mud DNA comes from. I sent all my research to Harvard and Yale and all of them, Max Planck, years ago. And I showed it to them mud fossils, and it contained the DNA and so forth. Next thing I know, they find mud. They say, oh, it's just the mud. That's all it is the mud. Well, it's obviously not just the mud. Where do they think it came from? Mud is eroded flesh. Mudstone is the fossil. Now, how could they possibly say this to me? Because I have taken my mudstones and had them DNA tested, 3 DNA tests, and they came back in ancient protocols with Helix Paleo Labs and Eaton Bio Labs, and they came back as 100% human mitochondrial DNA, 3 different tests, certified labs, absolutely no question whatsoever, and those same items were CAT scanned at Jesse Garant, who does industrial CAT scans, one of the best CAT scans in the world. They had 7 CAT scans. The CAT scans came back and were certified as human by Gil Hedley, who owns an autopsy school and teaches autopsy all around the world. So how could anybody in their right mind say to me, the mud is where the DNA came from, and ignore the source, which was the mudstone? Geologists are clueless too. Sandstone, mudstone, limestone. Mudstone is what I'm talking about for the mud fossils. Sandstone is a lot of the silicon, Si. You see it here? That erodes off of the surface of things. Sand, Si, silicon dioxide, there's your sand, and that comes out of skin because skin has 50 times more silicon on it than the rest of your body. You see, it's missing out of these ones, basically. It's so obvious if they would take, if they don't have the ability, let me put it that way. They need to come to Mud Fossil University, and these academics need to get educated. They have no abilities whatsoever, as far as I can see. And the only ability they have is arrogance and tell you to shut up and go sit in a corner and pay them $30,000, and if you disagree with them, they will destroy your life. It's strictly job security these people are about, because they cannot answer my challenges. I have every bit of factual evidence to back up the claims, and they refuse to let it be seen because they are frauds. Academia is frauds, and they are stealing the kids' money, and I hope they end up with class action lawsuits for this.